Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin and welcome back for another video. Today we are going to be flipping through my 2021 bullet journal, or more specifically the bullet journal that I used for the second half of 2021. I have already released a video for the journal I used for the first 6 months of 2021, so if you are interested in seeing the complete year from start to finish, do make sure to check out that video as well. The bullet journal we're looking at today lasted me from July to December, so 6 months as per my typical everyday journals. A lot of the pages we have in this one do have their own setup videos, so be sure to check out the description box below for links to those. Without further ado though, let's get into it. As I typically like to do, I stuck my timetable for school on the inside cover of this journal, just so that it was easily accessible, and also just decorated the space with some stickers. We have my name on the nameplate, and then we're into the start of my 2021 setup, or my 2021 part 2 setup. The intention for this page was that for each of these little craft paper boxes, I was going to write out my goals, so 3 boxes for quarter 3 and 3 boxes for quarter 4, following that idea of having 1 main goal and 2 mini goals. As you can see though, I did not end up using all those boxes. These 2 boxes I used for quarter 3, and then when it came to quarter 4, I only actually had 1 goal, which was to complete the things on my 101 things list. So didn't end up using these 3. I do really love the theme of this setup though. Actually, so much that I ended up using it again when I set up my 2022 pages. If you hadn't seen that one, there is of course a link to that video in the description box. Flipping over though, we have my future log. You can see that I used it pretty heavily at the start and then not so much towards the kind of last quarter of the year. I also didn't really use it for February through to etc. or for any dates beyond May, but again, I still do like the design of this setup. After this we have my 101 things to do in 2021 list, which of course is a concept that I've stuck with for 2022. You can see I didn't get all of my 101 things done, but some of the ones that I didn't finish I have migrated to my new list. Some of them I'm still yet to migrate. We have my 21 21s in 2021, so 21 things to do 21 times in 2021. An issue that I found with this layout was that there was nowhere to record what each of those things were. I did have a space to record movies, TV shows, a couple of other things, but not actually enough to record all 21 things for each of these. Also, this didn't give me a space to record things that weren't so much writing down like a movie title or a TV show title. So for instance, things like veggie dinners, right? So dinners where I had no meat. I didn't have anywhere to record down what dates I ate those, so when it came to filling this one in, I found it hard to remember whether I'd actually filled it in for a date. So there's a high likelihood that I missed some. For instance, here it says I only had 1 Coke-free day in 2021, which probably isn't far off from the truth, but I think I had at least 2. But because I didn't record what days those things happened, there's no actually way of knowing for sure. I did very much like the idea of the layout though, so I do have 22 22s for 2022, but in my new layout I have space to record each of the 22 items for all of those things. Flipping over, we have my health-related pages, which again I found difficult to remember to come and fill in. You can see that my meal ideas section I didn't really fill in very much, though we did have summer rolls, and summer rolls is a brilliant meal, which I very much enjoy. I filled in about half of my steps tracker, but this information is stored on my Fitbit, which is probably part of the reason why I never felt the need to come back in and actually fill it in, because I knew I could do it at any time, so it wasn't like a time-sensitive task. For this one we had my monthly challenges list, and I was actually really excited about this idea. I mean, I'm always excited about the idea of monthly challenges. On this one we have 12 boxes, so 2 boxes for each of 6 months. At the bottom here I was going to have a book to read each month, and at the top it was going to be some other kind of challenge. As you can see though, I never actually ended up selecting what the challenges were going to be. I did read 1 book, which is better than none I suppose, but I'm a bit sad that I didn't use this page more. On this side we have the monthly tasks list, and again, although I like the idea of this, the first time that I filled it in, I actually filled it in wrong. So as you can see here, I put a cross next to select habits when I put in a cross for July, but it shouldn't have been crossed off fully because I still had to do it for August, September, October, November, and December. Even though that's a very small thing and would probably just be an annoyance to some people, that honestly just put me off using the page. We have my monthly stats page, and by this I mean stats for different social media platforms. So Instagram, my main YouTube channel, my vlog channel, my Facebook page and group, and Pinterest. Down the bottom here I also had a space to write in some more information for my YouTube channel in particular, but as you can see, it didn't really get filled in. On the right hand side here we had my planning routines layout, and I do quite like this. I think I would like to transfer this into maybe my long-term collections journal once I've actually solidified what my routines are going to be. For these ones, I think it was more of a brainstorm of the things I wanted to do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, rather than an actual sequential list of steps. After this, you can see this spread went through a little bit because I ended up accidentally spilling Coke Zero on my planner. So RIP Bujo, November 24th, 2021, death by Coke Zero. Not actual death, I was being a little dramatic, but you can see that for my black pen and also for my green and the pink here, none of these were water fast. None of them were waterproof, so when the Coke ran over the journal, it did solubilize some of the ink. So we have a bit of ink spreading up here and down here. A bit of a shame, but things happen. I did really like my then and now page, or my Hi It's Jess page, where I wrote down responses to the prompts in the middle on the first day of using the journal and the last day of using the journal. This page here was my Someday Maybe page, though it more so turned into kind of like a notes page as well. This stuff is very much Someday Maybe. This stuff is more planning Rachel's journal. After this, we are into my planning pages for each of my monthly setups. So effectively planning out what theme I'm going to have and what spreads I'm going to include. I do still very much like the style of this layout, and that's why it's pretty much exactly the same in my new planner. As I typically like to do, I also have a next journal page, so a dedicated space to write down any notes for my next journal. This one came very much in handy when it came time to set up my new journals. So something that I consider a staple in my bullet journals. After this though, we are into July, so the first monthly setup for this journal. And as you can probably tell, my theme for this was books. The reason that I picked books, I remember, is because I wanted something easy. I wanted something that was kind of straightforward to draw, and for the most part, books are just kind of decorated rectangles. I also made use of this navy blue dot grid paper from the Archer and Olive subscription box. And for the shiny parts here, you can tell, shiny, that's where I used my Colero Finetech Gold watercolors. Of course, as mentioned, each of the monthly setups do have their own dedicated video, and you can find those linked in the description box. So we have my quote and cover page. After this, we have my monthly log featuring a Dutch door on the side here. This one was a decorative Dutch door, and it's been quite a while since I've done a decorative Dutch door before this one, if ever. There probably is one, but I can't bring it to mind. So I set up the monthly log to make it look like each of these were shelves, and then we have the books running down the side. And if you flip over, there are also books on the other side that kind of mirror those books. My mood tracker was a bookshelf. I know, very original, but I think it turned out really cute. A bit of a shame that I didn't actually end up filling it in completely. That's going to be a common theme throughout this journal, if you haven't already been able to tell. I don't really put too much pressure on myself to come back and fill things in after the fact. So much like my mood tracker, my habit tracker also didn't get filled in completely. Can you see where I made the mistake on this page though? If you've seen the setup video for this one, you may remember when I went to write habits in, I accidentally lent in the paint and kind of blurred it, and there was a giant gold blob here, so I ended up just going in and sticking a little piece of blue paper over it. I'm sure for some of you, you probably noticed as soon as I turned to this page, but for others, maybe the mistake wasn't quite so noticeable. Remember, there's always ways to make fixes in your journal if you make a mistake. After this, we have my social media schedule where I could plan out my main channel videos, my vlog channel videos, content for Instagram, and stuff for my Patreon. I do very much enjoy having my social media schedule pages, but I've actually moved these into a new journal for 2022. I'm actually going to be showing off the pages I have in that one come this weekend, so to make sure you don't miss out, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. On this side though, we have my time log, where I was tracking my personal time, my time dedicated towards my content creating, my time at school or time working on schoolwork, and my sleep. Again, as you can see, didn't really fill it in towards the end of the month. Then we're into the weeklies, and for June I tried to do a different style of weekly each week. I knew on these weeklies I wanted to have a space for events, a space for meals, a to-do list, and a priority section. So that's what we have here. My priorities I decided to section into different categories, so we have JashiiCorrin, school, personal, home, and other. For the to-do section here we have an Alastair method, so Monday through Sunday, where I could put a signifier underneath the relevant letter. Another weekly. For this one, instead of having the running to-do list, I had a space for each day of the week. Another weekly with a space for each day of the week, the priority section, meals and events. For this spread, instead of just being for 1 week, it was actually for 2. So you can see it's from the 12th to the 25th of July. This was also the time that I went to Melbourne and actually got stuck there because of some changes regarding restrictions. This was also the week that we won the auction for our new house, which was pretty exciting. Though it was also the day that Melbourne went into lockdown, which was less exciting. Flipping over. We have the last weekly for July, and by this point I was supposed to be back in Wellington, but I actually didn't get back to Wellington until Thursday. We had a space for my things to do before term 3 list, which I did give myself a full spread for, but I only ended up using part of 1 page. Although not an overly aesthetic spread, it is one that was quite helpful. And then after this, we are on to August, with my theme for August being Olaf's summer holiday. August for me is wintertime, while for the majority of my subscribers, it is summer. So this was a fun theme to marry the 2 ideas together. So we have the quote and cover page, and for all of the illustrations of Olaf that I have here, those were traced. There was no way that I was going to try and freehand Olaf because I knew I'd get the proportions wrong and he'd end up looking weird. We have the calendar style monthly log with some decoration along the edges here. Little snowgies, very cute. And then we have the mood tracker, which I was actually so excited about this mood tracker. I thought it looked so cool and it took forever to place all the snowgies in the right place. And then, as you can see by their lack of expressions, I just didn't end up filling this in, which is sad, but still cute. We have the habit tracker, which again, I did not really fill in. Actually, I didn't even end up selecting a final habit here. My social media schedule, which as always, very helpful to have. And then we have the time log, where I just chose not to use this. I actually wrote myself a little blurb about why I do not have this filled in. So you made the active decision to not worry about this spread in August. And after this, we're into the weeklies. So for each of the weeklies, I have a Dutch door here, but I tried to make it so that the design of each of the weeklies was different. So for the first week, week 31, or the first full week of August, we have a space on the side here for events for each of the weekdays, and then a running task list here, again with the Alastair method. On the next one, we have a vertical box for each of the days of the week and a space for notes. On this one, we have a space for each day of the week, a space for notes, and the running task list. And on the last one, we have a space for each day of the week, a space for notes, and then the running task list on the side of those. Now, as I mentioned before, in July, we won the auction for our new house. In August is when we had closing week, and then the week after that is when we were supposed to be moving on the Thursday. But Wellington, actually New Zealand, went into a level 4 lockdown on Tuesday. So that Tuesday was when we had to end up moving all of the remaining stuff over to our new place, which was a lot of a struggle bus. But while I was in Melbourne, because there was not really all that much I could do to help with the kind of pre-move preparations, I set myself up a bunch of layouts so that then, as soon as I got back to Wellington after being locked down in Melbourne, we could get right on into doing things for our move. Again, I do have a video of all of these moving layouts and explaining them in a bit more detail, but this first one was kind of just a memories page, so my time to move page, where I listed out all of the addresses that I've lived in New Zealand. So the first one that I lived in when I first moved to New Zealand, Vogel and mine's first house together, which we were moving out of, and then our current place. I had a layout here for moving advice for before, on moving day, and after moving. We had the moving checklist, which got a little bit thrown off at the end here because of aforementioned lockdown. We have the things to declutter list, and then items that I needed to get rid of. So once we did our declutter, I listed all those items here so that then I could make sure I actually either took them somewhere to be donated or sold them online, that kind of stuff. We have a list of supplies that we needed. We had a list of all of our boxes for moving. So the color codes for each of the rooms, how many boxes went into each of those rooms, and what those box numbers were. For each of those box numbers, I then listed them out here and wrote out what was in them, or the main kind of items that were in them. The little list we have down here was to organize the space, pack up the space, and then move all of those packed items. We have a space for all of the address changes that I need to do. I'm sure that more of these got done than I have actually checked off, but these are the ones that I was thinking of. Things that we wanted to buy for our new place, and then things that we wanted to do for our current house. By current house I mean our old house, and our new house, which again, some of these have already been done. Our essentials box, or the box to kind of unpack first when we moved into our new place, and any last minute packing, which ended up happening a little bit sooner than we had intended, because these were the kind of things that were supposed to happen like the night before we moved, and they ended up happening the night that we did move. And then we're into September. I can't remember what I was originally going to go with for a theme in September, but it was not this. I ended up doing a pastel clouds theme, which I did very much like how it turned out. I do remember initially I was going to do some kind of a cutout on this window, but that didn't actually end up happening. But as per usual, we have the quote and cover page. We have the monthly log. One of my challenges for September was to kind of get into using some more washi tape. So you'll see there is a lot more washi tape on these spreads than there would usually be. Habit tracker, which again, did not get filled in at the end of the month. And my content planner, which I do very much enjoy. After this we have the productivity tracker, which I started using. I love this layout, I really do. I just did not get around to filling this stuff in. I think that if I'm going to use something like this in future, it needs to be simpler. Like maybe I need to simplify my signifiers, or possibly do it on my weekly logs rather than doing it in a like month view kind of thing. I'm not too sure, but I do really love this layout. If you wanted more information about the productivity tracker, I do also have a video on that one. After this, we're into the weekly spreads, and for September I wanted to do something a little bit different with my weeklies and have a kind of interesting style Dutch door. So at the top of the page here, we have my kind of monthly priorities, or things I was aiming to do this month. We have my meal tracker for dinners in particular, and then at the bottom here, for each of the weeklies, we have a little box up the top here for Monday through to Friday, and then the weekend shared. At the bottom, we have themed checklists, so JashiiCorrin or content creating stuff, school stuff, home stuff, and personal stuff. And then on the side here, we have two lists. So we have a weekly to-do list, or things that I want to do each and every week, and then my reset checklist. I do have a video explaining how I set all of these up and how they actually work, or what my intention was for using them. So if you wanted to see that one, again, description box below. But I did really like the idea of this. I didn't end up using it as much as I probably wanted to, but that's because in September, actually kind of in the start of September, I came across a style of daily planning that really piqued my interest. That one was by Claudia Kai, and was using the Alistair method as a kind of continually running list. So for each week, you'd rule a line off to say what the week was, and then list out all of your tasks for the week underneath that. So you can see we have the 30th of August to the 5th of September here. Quite a small list compared to what my lists usually could be. and then the 6th of September ran from here over to here. We then have the 13th to the 19th going down this page and over the page to here, and then the 20th to the 26th running along here and to here. You can probably tell that I did adjust it a little bit, moving from this page to this page. For instance, just these lines that go across from each of the X's. I'm kind of particular, I want those lines to be straight, and the idea of having to rule a bunch of lines in my task lists was kind of just a bit too much for me, so when it came to this week, I decided to opt out of using those. I can understand how those horizontal lines do make it easier to see what these signifiers actually relate to, but I didn't see them to be completely necessary. I gave myself some more space on this layout to write more of those task lists, not that I really ended up using it. And then after this we have a layout dedicated to October theme ideas. I really love how this page turned out, I think it's really cute. But the idea behind this one was to have a whole bunch of theme ideas for October in one place that weren't just Halloween related. This one was a bit of fun, and over the page we are onto my October setup. My theme for October was Mean Girls. So we have a quote from the movie and my cover page. I love the black and the pink together, I think it looks really cool. We have the monthly log, again with a Dutch door on the side here, just so that I only had to write out October 2021 once. Little tabs, flipping over. We have the habit tracker, which I actually ended up filling in. I was very pleased with myself for filling this in completely. My social media scheduler. My meal log, which I also ended up filling in completely. Obviously October was a good month for me. And then we have a to-do list section, so where I had planning for my birthday celebration, and then a holiday task list down the bottom. Not that many of these things actually happened in the holidays. For my weeklies in October, I decided to keep with the style that I'd used in September, so that Alistair method kind of running weeklies checklist thing. I made a memories page for being announced as part of the Archer and Olive design team, mainly because I saw some of my design team teammates do them and I got jealous and I wanted to do one too. More of those weeklies. You can see I changed the style so that then instead of having the kind of full strips of colour where I'd have to use like washi tape and then, well, I didn't have to use washi tape, I just chose to use washi tape, but I'd use washi tape to get those really nice crisp edges. On this one I could just use a ruler to rule in the coloured lines. We have the November theme ideas list. So again, looking at themes that aren't just Thanksgiving related, that kind of stuff. And then we're into November. November's theme was koi fish and I loved this theme so much. I wanted to do koi fish for ages and kind of kept putting it off because it felt really intimidating, but koi fish are actually a lot easier to draw than I originally gave them credit for. What was probably more difficult than the koi fish was making sure that I didn't stuff up these corner pieces. Getting the lines in the right place for these ones was more challenging. So we have the quote and cover page. We have the monthly log, which probably ended up looking a little more busy than I had initially anticipated, but I still love it. This one again had that decorative Dutch door. We have the habit tracker, which I didn't end up finishing filling that one in. My social media schedule. My meal log, just for dinners, which also didn't finish filling in. And then we're into those weeklies again using that same style. With these ones, I kind of find it freeing to be able to use as much space as I want to for any of my lists. So you'll see for this first week here, which was Monday the 25th of October to Sunday the 31st of November, I said, even though I meant the 31st of October. This one ran all the way down this page, all the way down this page, and the majority of this page. One of the things I was trying to do for November was actually writing out all of the things that I do. Because a lot of the time I do things that aren't on my to-do list and then I just kind of wouldn't write them on the to-do list because I didn't really feel there was a need to. But then I'd get to the end of the day and be like, oh, I only checked off 5 things. Whereas I know, in my heart of hearts, I had done so much more than that. So I was trying to really make sure I was breaking things down into very small steps and also record all of the steps I was doing. So for Monday the 1st of November to the 7th of November, we have this little part of the page. We have this, we have all of these. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah, we go on to the next week here. So you can see the 8th of November runs all the way across this spread. You can also see that I stopped using the ruler. Choices. And then the 15th of November runs from here to here, where we were kind of getting towards the end of the year, didn't really have so much to do for school, so a few less tasks to do. 22nd to the 28th, used all of this space. And then we're into December. For December, my theme was gingerbread men, and I thought it was a really cute theme. I really liked the little faces. I thought they were very cute. Got to use some craft paper and this kind of like bouncy calligraphy font. The designs of these came from coloring pages, so again, using tracing. I talk more about that in the setup for my December pages. We have my calendar style monthly log with kind of candy cane border, which took forever, but I think it turned out pretty cute. We have our little gingerbread man. This guy's hiding in a little present. And I'm gonna be honest, I did not use my December pages very much at all. December was like ridiculously busy for me, and I find that anytime that I'm really super busy, I kind of neglect my planner. I'm trying to combat that this year, but we'll see how it goes. Content planner. My meals log, which I was trying to record lunch and dinner, but I barely recorded any of it, so yeah. My to-do list, which I mainly used as a list for different journals that I was setting up, so my yearly collections journal, my everyday journal, and my content journal, which, as we said before, is coming on the weekend. After this we had where I was going to be putting my weekly logs. On this one I thought it would be kind of cute to do that candy cane pattern again, but I'm not really sold with how it turned out because it really doesn't make it very easy to read, which is a bummer because it took a while, but this kind of thing happens. And then what I was going to do for the remaining pages was just split the page in half and then write out the things I needed to do. But again, didn't really use it so much. On this one, I just ended up writing myself down a brain dump for the end of the year, which turned out to be quite a bit more helpful. And then after this, we had a spare page, which ended up being kind of a scribble page, as you can see. I did some kind of swatching with Rachel to pick a color palette, wrote out a list of ideas for pages in my content journal. And then after this, we're into my back of journal pages. The first of which is my December theme ideas spread, so trying to kind of focus on themes that are more than just Christmas. A lot of theme ideas on this one. We have my to-do in term 4 list and my list of eternal sadness, which was effectively all of the kind of like marking work and report writing and stuff like that I had to do in a very short amount of time. We had the spreads that were dedicated to a theme ideas video, and this one in particular were like simple theme ideas. So we had 6 here and 6 here. We're then into my teaching related stuff. So this was my term overviews for term 3 and term 4, which I find really helpful just to be able to see everything that's happening in the term at a glance. We have my year at a glance for my teaching related stuff, so a place to record when our staff only days were, when the holidays were, and any sick days that I took. My class countdowns, which ended up getting stuffed up, which is why I ended up sticking a piece of paper over this. I can't quite remember how they got stuffed up, but a stuff up happened. And then we're into my lesson planner. I do have a separate video on this layout and how it actually works, but effectively each major column is a week, each row is a day of the week, and each little box represents a lesson. So for instance, week 1, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And then we're onto a spread which is certainly not aesthetic, but one that I actually kind of like looking at. It's always kind of fun to see how this page evolves throughout the life of my journal. So you can see we have the little rainbow banner test run here, which was for the pages that I did for my house moving spreads. We have kind of a washi swatch thing happening here from my September layouts. And also another little washi swatch here from my August layouts. I drew a little water pattern here when I was planning out my koi fish layout to see if I wanted to use a water pattern, practicing koi fish doodles, practicing gingerbread men, just a bit of fun. We have the sticker from the gift box that Archer and Olive sent me for making the Archer and Olive design team, and then in the back pocket here we have a bunch of kind of memorabilia stuff. So we have the letter to myself that I wrote for myself at the start of 2021 to open at the start of 2022. We have a card from one of my subscribers, Julia, who sent me a bunch of the Staedtler Tri-Plus fineliners that I was missing. Thank you so much, Julia, because that was very much appreciated. I do enjoy having a complete collection. We have a Christmas card from one of my students, a thank you card from another one of my students, a card from our first giveaway journal winner, which she did this like hand-decorated card which was inspired by, I think it was the August theme in the journal. And she did all this like hand lettering in it and it was just super cute. Thank you, April, that was really kind of you. And then the note that came inside of my Archer and Olive gift box. Another beautifully full journal with a whole heap of memories, with some pages that I've kept on in my new journals, some that I've tweaked or changed, and some that I've gotten rid of for now. I think that my favourite themes in this journal would have to be the koi fish theme and the Mean Girls theme, and I appreciated my own consistency with filling in my journal in October. I'd be curious to know though, of the themes we have in this journal, which one was your favourite? So we had the pegboard for the start of journal setup, we had the monthly themes of books, Olaf's summer holiday, pastel clouds, Mean Girls, koi fish and gingerbread men. But then we also had the rainbow theme for the moving pages. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up. As always team, thank you for watching. If you hadn't already and felt so inclined, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more on planning, productivity and personal development, and until next time, bye!